Now, two people are reported missing after clashes between fishermen from Akpalabanya and the Down West District and a government anti-illegal fishing task force at Pram Pram in the Greater Accra region. Several others are said to have also been injured in the incident, which occurred off the coast of Pram Pram on Monday dawn. The fisher folks say they were attacked by the task force who are allegedly engaging in light fishing, a practice that has been banned. This is not the first time the task force has been accused of brutalizing the fishermen. Now, District Chief Executive for Adan West, Jote Lawe Akrofi, joins me live on the phone with details. Apparently, we have lost him on the line, but we're trying to reach him again. But the story is that two people are feared missing, and there are several others who are also believed to have been injured in a clash there at Pram Pram here in the Greater Accra region. So let's go back onto the phone line and speak with the District Chief Executive for the area. Good evening to you, sir.
Good evening, Joy FM.
All right, so
Joy News, how are you?
We're doing good. Now, we understand that about 20 people are in police custody following this clash between the government task force and the fisher folk. Can you confirm this?
Yes, indeed, 20 are in police custody, and the police are working to see the next step to be taken. In fact, they are conducting their investigations, and after they have conducted their investigations, then we'll know the next step they will be.
Now, how did it all start? And can you confirm that these fishermen were indeed engaged in light fishing, even though it is outlawed?
Well, I had some calls several calls from the Akpalabanya community, which is within my district, that there was a clash between the fisher folks there and then the task force, which is trying to implement the law relating to the light fishing. And there was a clash, and I think that they said the people have taken, the task force have taken them to Pram Pram. So I followed up to Pram Pram together with my district commander at Sege, and then the Honorable District Chief Executive for Ninko Pram Pram, because two of his people too are involved. And we went over there. It was true, 20 people were brought over there, and they were doing conducting their investigations. So I left the place around 2 p.m. And what the police said was that after they had taken their statement, then they would be asking for bail to be granted them, and then thereafter they see what they would do.
All right, have you
a few of them had been injured, and then those people would be given hospital forms so that they could attend hospital.
All right, have you been able to speak with the fisher folk who are involved? Have you been able to speak with the fisher folk involved?
Please, can you come again?
I'm asking if you have been able to speak with the fishermen involved.
Do the fisher folks or the police?
The fisher folk, because I want to confirm what they have been saying actually about the charge that they were engaged in light fishing.
Yes, I interviewed them, and they confirmed that indeed they saw those boats coming, and then according to them, they were just attacked, and they also tried to defend themselves.
All right.
Then it's the police who will give us the accurate position.
All right. Is there any update on the two people who are said to have been missing?
Well, initially they told us at the police station that one boat carrying about 6 people, they gave the names of 4 of them and then the other 2. And they said the boat together with the people were missing. But as of this evening, when I called Akwalabanya, I understand that people came. I don't know whether a boat had rescued them and they've been taken to the Basel hospital.
All right.
So far, there was nobody missing.
Okay. Now, fishermen in the Adan community appear to have gained notoriety as far as light fishing is concerned. Is there any plan to get them to actually stop the practice?
Surely, you see, this is an order, and I see it's passed by Parliament. It's a legislative instrument which is in place. And as it's a legislative instrument, it is imperative that we comply, or everybody complies. And according to the police, all other communities had obeyed this instruction, except those areas from Azizanya, that's Adan West, that is Adan East, Adan West, and parts of the Ningo Pram community.
All right.
So what I think we are trying to educate them again about the need to comply with these instructions, because they are not the only people doing fishing in this country.
All right.
And it's a matter of education.
Thank you very much.
I think that I educated them and will continue to do the education.
All right, thank you very much, District Chief Executive for Adan West Ajote, Lawe Akrofi. Meanwhile, Fisheries and Aquaculture Minister Elizabeth Afolekwe says government intends to procure drones that will be deployed at sea to track the activities of fishermen, and anyone seen to be involved in malpractices would be arrested and prosecuted. In an interview with Joy News, the Sector Minister explained the intervention is one of several measures being employed to clamp down on illicit fishing.
That in all this, fisher folk, especially the artisanal fishers, are still engaging themselves in illegal fishing. Not just the artisanal fishers, but also the semi-industrials, and some industrial vessels are also engaging themselves in illegal fishing. So the new thing is that we'll have to use technology, improve upon the technology that we use. We all know the drones that are used in capturing scenes, in taking pictures. We want to fall on the drones. We want to use industrial drones, marine drones that are made or fashioned to monitor our oceans. We already have, as part of ensuring the enforcement of our laws, we already have this devices that are going to detect or are used in detecting illegal fish, illegally caught fish. We already have the devices. Women or fish processors or fish handlers are being trained in using this device. So, and also staff of our ministry and the Fisheries Commission are being trained. Some of them already have gone through the training, so they have started using the device to detect illegally caught fish.
How many of these devices do we have?
Not many. We don't have enough. We'll have to.
So where are the current ones being deployed to?
Our fisheries enforcement units have been able to deploy some of the devices, but we'll have to meet with them to know exactly where those devices have been deployed.
This task force, is it not a duplication of what the Marine Police is already doing?
The residents of Sampa Valley within the Weja Dam buffer zone have vowed not to relocate despite perennial threats posed by the dam. In an attempt to save the dam from collapse, the Ghana Water Company, which manages the facility, almost every year opens the spill gates, flooding communities downstream in the process. Despite several warnings, the residents are adamant, insisting government must find an alternate solution to the problem. Joining us is Daniel Dadzie has been to the communities and reports there's been another spillage, except this time the residents say they did not receive the usual notification and are unhappy about it.
It's a familiar script here in Sampa Valley. The rains come down, water levels go up, the floodgates open, hundreds are affected. Interestingly enough, residents of this community and about 10 others that are in the dam buffer zone are used to the annual ritual. They say they have nowhere else to go, and so they must cope with it.
Where do we go? Look at the city is choked. That's why we come here. Even look at this area. It's choked. When we came here, I think we are the second house here. But now, go and see. The whole place is full. So what do we do? The government is not ready to provide us accommodation. We must force to get our own accommodation. So what do? We have to live by it. If God bless, we see how best we can handle it.
The flooding is not as serious as other areas in Accra. The water doesn't even enter our rooms. It just floods the roads and our compounds.
Too much. So okay, the movie we didn't get into like 1 month. The
flooding only occurs in a few months during the year. During the dry season, there's no problem at all.
But you be in the Cassia Pan and you what to
Some even leave the community during the rainy months and return when the flooding is over.
During the rainy season, I go to my hometown. I have never been here when the gates are open, but even afterwards when I return, there's still water in the compounds.
This year, however, the script seems to have changed, as the flooding has begun with no announcements from the Ghana Water Company Limited. The residents are complaining that this is not how things are done here.
This very one, I don't hear. This very one. But I normally hear the announcement.
I've never heard an announcement like that before. When they open it, the flood waters rise gradually. We only wake up to see our roads and compounds covered with water.
Too much.
By the time they make the announcement, the area has already flooded.
Maybe week away and maybe
When they make the announcements, they don't tell us if we will be affected. Next thing we know, our homes have been submerged.
Reporting for Joy News, this is Daniel Dazi in Waja. Watching Joy News Prime, we're taking a break. When we come back, we'll bring you the Eat Stories. President Akufo-Addo has charged Muslim leaders, particularly imams, to use religion as basis to advance the cause of Ghana. The president also appealed to leadership of other faiths like Judaism and Christianity to emphasize on things that unite the Abrahamic faith rather than what divides the religions of the world. President Akufo-Addo said this when he joined thousands of Muslims at the Independence Square for Eid al-Fitr prayers to mark the end of the month-long fasts, one of the 5 pillars of the Islamic faith.
Religion is a double-edged sword that can also be invoked for destructive purposes. Consequently, I urge all Ghanaian Muslims to be wary of ideologues who may pervert a beautiful religion like Islam for selfish and destructive ends. Whether you are Al-Sunnah, Tijaniya, Shia or Ahmadiyya, I remind you of the words of Allah as captured in Quran chapter 3. Let us continue to hold hands in brotherhood and unity, for that is the essence of Islam. We have a right to make merry and celebrate, but let us celebrate and make merry in moderation. And I'm praying for a trouble-free and accident-free Eid celebration. May the Almighty Allah bless us all and make our nation. Your actions bear testimony, accurate testimony, to the principles that inspired the founding fathers of our nation, who taught us that in spite of our differences, we are one people with a common destiny. You epitomize the Islamic principle of peace. You live the Quranic statement that states that those who are nearest to Muslims in brotherhood are the Christians. Your attitude has helped ensure the high levels of religious tolerance that exist in our country. We continue to pray for good health and long life for you, so that we may continue to savor the benefits of your wisdom.
He appealed to the National Chief Imam Sheikh Dr. Usmanu Nuhu Shaributu, who he described as a true icon of this generation, to continue to champion the enviable leadership he has shown over the years, which has contributed to the transformation of Zongo communities across the country. He promised the Muslim community of his administration's commitment to developing the Zongos through the newly established Ministry for Zongo and Inner City Development.
Asempa budget set aside 219 million Ghana cedis as seed money for the establishment of the Zongo Development Fund. We're in the process of fashioning out the Zongo Development Fund law, which when enacted by Parliament will trigger the use of the money for the development of our Zongo communities. The Minister for Zongo and Inner City Development, the highly respected Honorable Boniface Abubakar Sadiq, is currently undertaking a nationwide consultative process on the use of the fund when it becomes operational. This is in line with our bottom-up approach to development.
Elsewhere, Muslims in the Upper West region joined their colleagues from the rest of the world to celebrate this year's Eid al-Fitr. After weeks of fasting from dawn to dusk, the day offers an opportunity to feast and to celebrate. Upper West regional correspondent Rafiq Salam joined two factions of the Muslim Ummah in the Wa Township at their open congregational prayers and reports.
Over 10,000 Ahmadi worshippers converged at the Jujere Primary School garden to observe the 2-rakat open congregational prayer. Most of them gorgeously dressed in white apparel were led by the Upper West Regional Missionary of the Ahmadiyya movement, Maulvi Chaudhry Masroor Ahmed Muzaffar.
Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar.
Maulvi Chaudhry Ahmed, in a sermon after the congregational prayer, called on Muslims to turn over a new leaf after being spiritually cleansed by the 30-day fasting.
This month of Ramadan is teaching us that we should be united, we should be faithful servants of Almighty Allah, and the motto which we gain in this month of Ramadan, immediately after the celebration of our Eid, we should try to maintain it. It shouldn't be that we worship only 1 month and the rest 11 months we shouldn't worship to the God Almighty. We pray that we should be continue praying to Him. We shouldn't be go back, which the aim we have achieved in this month of Ramadan, it should throughout the 11 months of the rest of the year. So may the Almighty accept our prayers and continue a good servants of Him.
He also led the worshippers to pray for the leadership of the country and for the sustenance of peace in the country. Meanwhile, at the Nasirigi Bomi the second park, worshippers of the Orthodox Muslim faith also converged there for the 2-rakat prayers. They were led in the prayer by the Jami Imam, Dr. Suleiman Bakuri. Upper West Regional Minister Suleiman Al-Hassan, before the congregational prayer, urged religious and traditional rulers to help the government in its fight against illegal mining in the country.
We up north in particular are in a better arrested since our environment and ecosystem are affected with volunteer operations. As you are aware, we have only one rainy season, and therefore any adverse changes in our vegetative cover will result in drought and hunger, thereby perpetuating our poverty situation.
Another issue that also found space in the regional minister's speech was the issue of open defecation.
Fasting for 30 days, abstaining from food and water, crowning it all here at the judicial guidance with an open congregational prayer. It's time for them to go home for the feasting. Reporting for Joy News, Rafik Salam. Wow.
Vice President Alhaji Dr. Mamadou Bawumia Muslim himself after the Eid al-Fitr prayers here in Accra just to spend time with the less privileged and vulnerable in society, visiting 3 institutions, including the School for the Blind at Akrupo in the Eastern region. At all 3 institutions he visited, including the Osu Children's Home and the Accra Psychiatric Hospital, Alhaji Dr. Bawumia donated bags of rice, cooking oils, cows, and other food items. Latif Idris went along for Joy News.
At the Accra Psychiatric Hospital, the Vice President reiterated government's commitment to improving conditions at the hospital to bring it at par with other international facilities. Dr. Bawumia also commended administrators and staff of the facility for working under very trying conditions and assured them government will push through and pass the LI, which will give the Mental Health Authority power to implement the Mental Health Act. At the School for the Blind, Dr. Bawumia promised to work closely with appropriate ministries to fill the vacuum that has been created following exit of a number of staff members.
As a government, we have heard what the headmistress has said. We need to help with some renovation. We need to help as far as providing some staffing is concerned. And I will talk to the finance minister and the president. I know that he has you at heart, and we will see how to address this staffing issue for this school.
He added, government will not forget the school in its job creation and employment agenda.
Keep working hard. We are going to make sure we put in place the policies to make sure that when you leave here, there are other opportunities awaiting you in society, that jobs will be available when you leave.
Second Lady Hajja Samira Bawumia promised the headmistress and staff government will not forget them.
Thank you for your prayers, because today we are where we wanted to be, and we want to let you know that we will never forget you. We will do whatever we can. That is why we're here with my family to share with you this special Eid day, to say Eid Mubarak to the Muslims here and to all of you, and to tell you to study hard, to keep on keeping on, and know that everybody is watching you and everybody is expecting the best from you.
The Vice President and his wife later returned home to spend the rest of the day with family.
Well, as we come on an annual occurrence on selected streets in Accra, young men and women riding on roaring motorbikes. Jennifer Kwama took a stroll down to the John Ejekumkufo Avenue, what is popularly known as Caprice, to find out why this daredevil display has become a cherished tradition in the Muslim community.
Today is Eid al-Fitr. Earlier in the morning there was prayers, and then there was feasting, and now there is this. Up and down the J. Kufuor Avenue, young men have been parading on motorbikes. Let me speak to a couple of them and find out exactly what is going on.
Oh, we are just celebrating the Allah festival. As you can see, there are so many people. We are just having fun. Yeah, because we don't want any trouble, so we are just having fun. It's peace riding, and you know, as you can see, we have our helmet. As you can see, we have our riding jackets. There are so many things going on over here, so no problem. Yeah, so we are just appealing to the police that they should just cite patients for us. We're going to close very soon. It's Sandler, so we have to have fun. It's once in a year, and they're not going to see this anymore. So they should just allow us to do our own thing.
Okay, but let me ask you, I think a couple of years ago, there was one and the guy crashed into some of the crowd. Aren't you scared something like that will happen again?
Oh, okay. What I can say is it depends on the speed that you are using. You see, so whenever you are riding, you have to focus. If you don't focus, somebody can easily cross you, and it's going to cause so many things. So riding this year around, we are taking our time to do everything. We just don't want to cause any accident. As you can see, there is no accident. Yeah, so everything is gradual process, and inshallah, from next year, you're going to see different things, different car price.
Different car price.
We are going to organize a big show because we heard there are some guys in Cote d'Ivoire. They are also champions. So we want them to come to GH and we do it. This time around, we are going to Independence Square, and it's going to be Ghana versus Cote d'Ivoire. The winner takes all, so no problem. Okay.
Tell me, how does it feel like to do these rides every year?
You see, I just do this one for my people.
But I beg, the thing you are doing, have you told the police you are going to do these peace rides?
No, sir. No. Just unexpected. It just came unexpected, and I just came here.
But aren't you afraid that they might arrest you or something?
Oh, no. I know all the police, they know me, so that's why I just do it. I know they know about me, so when they come, they will see me, and they know me. So I ride for them, I ride for everyone. Yeah.
But now it started raining. Are you going to continue?
Of course. We're going to do some boom, 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 boom. Yeah.
Well, you guys be safe out there. You're still watching Joy News Prime. And still to come in the bulletin. Now, where the medical doctor who was jailed for sodomizing a 16-year-old boy some 3 years ago has been speaking about how he's happily doing the time, even though he insists he didn't commit the crime. And then Prempeh College, Adisadel College, and St. Thomas Aquinas, they will be the finalists of this year's National Science and Maths Quiz. We'll have all that coming up later on in the bulletin. But up next, we bring you business news.
We unite. We defy. We hope. We dream. Play. We are fire in our hearts.
Celebrate 60 years of independence with a Guinness or Sajafo. Grab a bottle and look under the crown for a chance to win one of over 1 million bottles. Taste the celebration with Guinness.
For quick and easy banking on your mobile, like checking your balance or transferring money, use our mobile banking services today. To find out more, visit us online at ecobank.com. Move on up with EcoBank, the Pan-African bank.
You light up my world. Yes, you are the reason that I smile. Oh, yes, you are. Can't wait to get home. But you are what walk 1,000 miles.
Light up your world at home, at the office, and on the go with the magic of Vodafone One. Mobile, landline, broadband, plus all the entertainment you want, all in one package. Vodafone One is first in Ghana and only on Vodafone SuperNet. Visit any Vodafone shop or fbb.vodafone.com.gh to sign up now.
You are the one.
Vodafone, power to you.
Welcome to Business on Joy News Prime this Eid holiday. China has banned fruits and vegetables from Ghana due to the failure of local producers to meet quality standards. Deputy Minister of Trade and Industry, Carlos Ahenkra, who disclosed this to Joy Business, said this came to government's attention earlier this year. Now, the ban is coming after a similar one by the European Union, which government says stakeholder engagements are ongoing towards a possible review by September when the EU team visits the country. Mr. Ahenkra says government has begun engaging the Chinese authorities to address the issue.
Our vegetable and fruit exports to
China were being rejected. So we immediately rushed to the Chinese embassy to inquire. The ambassador told us she wasn't aware, but she would check and let us know. I said, now we are still waiting for that result, but it's indicative that we have a problem in Ghana. And the problem is to do with proper phytosanitary checks and, of course, the unavailability of tracing or traceability problems also in that sense. We have started pushing to get the Minister of Agriculture, which is responsible for the agency that controls the checking of such exports, to up their game, because it is very demeaning and very insulting, if I may borrow that word, that a country such as Ghana, as beautiful as we are, will export goods out of this country and they get returned or they get destroyed.
Still with China on a different issue, though, some economists have hailed the new $15 billion commitment government has secured from China, but emphasized the need for due diligence in the deal to ensure maximum economic benefits to the country. Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia sealed the deal after leading a team of ministers and businessmen to China. According to him, Ghana is to trade off some of the country's bauxite deposits in the deal to facilitate government's grand development agenda.
Ghana is to receive up to $15 billion in investment from China in support of government's industrialization drive and economic growth agenda. This includes frozen $2 billion Exim Bank loan. Economist Dr. Eric Osei Esibe tells Joy Business, even though timely, governments must ensure China doesn't abuse its bargaining power when finalizing the agreement.
One of the problems that we've been having is lack of resources, financing to finance export factories and all that, because you need to have affordable finance, long-term finance to be able to, go directly into production. So where you have such ready access to finance, I think it will go a long way to help. But we still have to be careful because there's no free lunch anywhere.
That's what I wanted to ask. That
yes.
Is it not going to create that free will for China to move?
Yes, so we have to, because Chinese, as far as I know, will not do anything for free like that. They'll also be expecting to have something back. But of course, that is the spirit of the game. We should have to tread cautiously. But obviously, it's have to be a win-win situation. You cannot always get it. It shouldn't be lopsided, of course. So you should be ready to also give out something. But what you have to guard against is that you don't give too much out than you are receiving. You understand? So, and what you are giving out is also legitimate. So it's not like you are going to get $2 billion and allow them to come and degrade our environment. No.
So how best can government ensure a win-win situation in the deal? Dr. Osei Esibe again.
But if they are also coming and also own certain resources, like directly invest in the one district, one factory, and own the business, so be it, right? And they also make profit. That is how the trade relations.
So you think we should also give them some conditions at least?
Well, we should limit the extent to which they can operate within the economy. That is why I think by now we should even have a bilateral trade agreement with China, that will be mutually beneficial to the two countries, which is very clear, the do's and don'ts of each party in that respect, and that should guide our relationship, and that is what we have not been able to do up to now.
Aside from the $25 billion, the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, says an extra commitment of $4 billion is also expected to be finalized sometime next month.
In other news tonight, some poultry sellers have lamented poor patronage as Muslims across the country celebrated Eid al-Fitr today. The day, which climaxes the 30-day fasting period for Muslims, is usually celebrated with poultry. Sheila Tamaklu has been finding out how business has been for poultry sellers in the Malamata market here in Accra.
Unlike the usual crowded atmosphere where buyers besiege poultry selling outlets in queues, consumers were virtually absent. The poultry sellers said business had not been that good.
The past years, I've been selling the best almost 500, 400, but this year I even bought this in 200. Still, almost 150 is still left. I didn't complete.
Okay.
Now we are selling it. The other years we've been selling them 25, but this year we are selling them 30 Ghana. We have 50 cedis. We have 25, which is the local base.
We are expecting that today the market will be, we can't see anybody. Since we open in the morning up to this hour, we don't sell bags up to 10 or 20. We don't even sell up to that. And I'm expecting that due to the cold stores, many people normally go there and they don't buy the live one. So that one is just cheaper than the live one.
I think last 2 years, I bought I sell far more than 500, me alone. And last year, this year, I never sell more than 200.
Previous years, by this time, today being Saturday, you see that there will be many people here waiting to collect their fowls. But you can see that we are empty here.
Sales for other food items, however, remained fairly stable. So it's seller again, and we are at the Malata markets. However, just as you heard from the poultry farmers, this year time round, the market has been slow. And this slowness in markets, they attribute to the presence of so many cold stores, which makes their prices less competitive. Others also attributed to a new government, which has slowed down business activities. However, they are hopeful that things might pick up. Reporting for Joy Business from the Malata markets here in Accra,
and I guess that explains why there was not a lot of meat going around today. Well, before we go, beginning this Thursday, 29th of June, all roads lead to the Accra International Conference Center, where the Joy FM Beauty and Bridal Fair will take place. As the date draws closer, we take a look at what participants should expect this year.
The Joy FM Beauty and Bridal Fair provides a one-stop shop for everything wedding by bringing together businesses and consumers alike. One of the major sponsors is Gihok Distilleries, producers of alcoholic beverages for the African and European markets. Elvis Blankson is the marketing manager of Gihok Distilleries.
Castle Bridge has been used for weddings, engagements, the other traditional events like funeral, like, when chiefs are being installed and all kinds. And so it's been very consistent and it's been endorsed by most of the prominent chiefs in Ghana. And so that is why we deem it prudent to associate ourselves with, Bridal Fair, which is about to take place soon. You see, Bridal Fair is all about, making prospect married couple, know the kind of products that should be used for their wedding, think of. And so you cannot have wedding without going to pay the bride price. And, you need to have the products like Castle Bridge, among the list that will be presented to the groom.
And of course, after the wedding would be the making of babies. The newborns are therefore not left out. The Baby and Toddler Fair, which is the latest addition, provides the perfect opportunity for newlyweds and expectants to get all children's clothing, nursery furniture, maternity wear, and baby care options, among others. Sprague Store is the main sponsor for the Baby and Toddler Fair.
We believe after marriage comes children. So after marriage, babies, and with babies you need clothes and accessories. So Sprague Store is there to provide for all your kids' clothing and accessories. We are also looking forward to have baby showers and all those programs and all that.
Other events to be staged at this year's edition of the Joy FM Beauty and Bridal Fair is the fashion show to display exquisite gowns, suits and other ceremonial wear paired with amazing bouquets, shoes, accessories and more.
So the countdown has begun and this year's Bridal Fair promises to be exciting. That's it for business. The news continues after this break.
Now, Prempeh College, Adisadel College, and St. Thomas Aquinas will be the finalists of this year's National Science and Maths Quiz, having edged our schools such as Infantsipim, Ghana National College, and the Legon Presbyterian Boys School. To make it this far, the final is expected to be a very keen contest. The National Science and Maths Quiz has grown in popularity in recent years thanks to the massive following it has gained on social media. Joining us is Maxwell Agbagba was at the RS Amegashi Auditorium at the University of Ghana, where some notable personalities showed up to provide support for the alma maters as the fate of the finalists in this year's competition was decided.
The excitement of the National Science and Maths Quiz has hit the rooftops as Adisadel College has booked a place at the finals of the ongoing competition. In fact, it was a close shave for them as the beats the University Project Senior High School by just 1 point. Now it feels like associated with them, I'm in my black and white.
Fantastic, fantastic, fantastic. I think in there was so much energy. I would like to say, well, we had to take the boys through a certain catharsis, you know. So at the end of the day, all that is needed is we came good. We are in the final. Our prayer is that once we are in the final, we are, as reigning champions, we are taking the trophy back to the hill.
I have some old students here with us. I mean, famous amongst them is counsel lawyer Egbert Febo Jr. What
impressive contest. I mean, as an old student of Ghana National College, I'm here with, you know, some of the old students, some of my mates and schoolmates and the rest. I think that our team did very well. In the end, Adisadel appreciated the fact that we put them in the final. For us, we'll come back stronger next year.
Well, outside the RS Amegashi Auditorium, where the National Science and Maths Quiz is taking place, the auditorium itself is bursting at its seam. But these presents and past students gathered here cannot control their emotions. Some of them are really calling for spiritual intervention, even as they head into the final round of the competition. It's a display of emotions and strong allegiance for the alma mater.
Infantsipim School has 49 points. Prempeh College has 55 points. Prempeh College. Congratulations on winning the contest. Well done.
Well, the contest between Prempeh College, Infantsipim School and Mauli School just ended. At the end of the day, these students from Prempeh College are the ones jubilated. They've made it to the finals of the competition at the National Theatre, and they cannot keep calm.
Oh, the final, we're taking this one for sure. In 3 years, we're taking 2. I mean, last 2 years, we took it from Adisadel, and we are meeting them again this year. History repeats itself. We're beating them.
This year, the quiz mistress has been doing a wonderful job of, moderating this competition. Dr. Elsie Kaufman. I want to find out from her expectations ahead of the final competition on Thursday. Dr. Kaufman, what has it been like being the quiz mistress for this competition?
Oh, I'm honored to get to meet all these bright young people. It's amazing. I'm enjoying myself. I love what I do.
Expectations ahead of the final competition come on Thursday.
It's going to be amazing. You don't want to miss it. Don't miss it.
Right, so that's the finals. And just to reiterate, the finalists for this year's National Science and Maths Quiz will be Prempeh College, Adisadel College, and St. Thomas Aquinas School. And the schools that they edged out before reaching the final, Infantsipim was edged out, Ghana National College, and then the Legon Presbyterian Boys School. I know a lot of their old boys will be really, really disappointed. But well, it's a contest. Some lose, some win. Now, incarcerated medical Dr. Ali Gabas, who is serving a sentence for defiling a minor in 2014, says though he didn't commit the crime, he's happy to be doing the time. Dr. Gabas was convicted for sodomizing boy under 16 years old and sentenced to 25 years imprisonment in a high-profile case unearthed by Joy News investigative journalist Manasseh Zuriawone. Breaking his silence since his incarceration some 3 years ago at the Nsawam medium security prison, the medical doctor, who's also a practicing Muslim, says he's thankful to God for putting him in prison. He spoke with Joy News' Latif Idris, who started by asking him to compare Ramadan behind bars to what pertains outside the walls of a prison.
You can't compare to celebrating Eid with your nuclear family, extended family, where you visit each other and all that. So those nostalgic feelings definitely will overwhelm you at a point during the celebration. The only difference is that outside you are free to choose whatever you want, you know, how you want fast. But here, because of the restriction, even the prayers that we do, we actually combine the prayers, and you know, it's not that of the best.
When I walked in, I saw you reading the Quran. Has that impacted the sentencing you are serving in any way? I mean, getting in touch, like you mentioned, with Allah, reading the Quran. How is that impacting on your sentence?
Okay, in the first place, when you are imprisoned, it means you have been restricted. And you know what restriction is. You have to find something to do. Otherwise, you lose your sanity. And the most profound way to do that is to occupy yourself, actually give yourself something or improve on yourself. I chose to improve myself with the Quran. So ever since I came, that's my work. And that has given me peace. In fact, I can't recall any day that I've been sad ever since I've been reading the Quran, because I've found purpose. And I always tell my malams that, in fact, I think the purpose of which I've been brought here is maybe to do something or to upgrade myself in this way. And that's why you see me. And this has been a routine for me. And in fact, it has helped me to cope very well with the prison environment.
As a medical doctor, are you impacting with your profession in any way? Are you bringing it on board to help, I mean, brothers who are also here, who might need some medical attention of a sort?
Yes, definitely. You know, once a doctor, always a doctor. I've been helping our brothers here, and the inmates, some come with their problems. I explain to them, advise them what to do, to go to the infirmary, and whatever is necessary to help them keep their health ongoing. And also at the infirmary, sometimes I'm consulted.
That was the question I was going to ask. Did they come to you and say, Doc, we need your assistance?
Oh, yes. Actually, the only thing I don't do is go and sit down there and behave like a doctor. But apart from that, when there are serious cases, I do go there and advise them as to the way to go about things.
Do you handle equipment?
No, I don't want to. I don't, because as a doctor, you must be free to practice as a doctor. I'm not free.
Well, President Akufo-Addo has arrived in the Zambian capital, Lusaka, to start a 3-day state visit. The visit would afford the president and his Zambian counterpart, Edgar Lungu, the opportunity to discuss matters of mutual benefit to the two countries. Our correspondent, Elton Brobe, is in Lusaka with the president, where he has been meeting with the Ghanaian community, and he joins us on the line now. Hello, Elton. What has the president been telling the Ghanaians living in Zambia?
So few things came up. The meeting just ended. They are now having a snack with the president. Now, the president, in his introductory remarks, talked about what he's doing back home. Remember, the government will be 6 months old next month. For him, the past 6 months has been very eventful. Now, he considers unemployment as the biggest threat to the security and the progress of the country. He spoke about the fact that his government is stimulating private sector growth to ensure that the private sector is able to employ more to address this particular issue. He's also looking up to the planting for food and jobs, that their flagship program in the agricultural sector, to employ as many people as possible so that the issue of unemployment can also be curtailed. On the energy sector, it says government will very soon issue a $2.5 billion Euro bond to deal with the energy legacy debt. For him, investors are shying away from investing in the energy sector because of this particular debt. He's spoken about government plans to ensure that they pay off the debt owed by providers of the National Health Insurance Scheme by the end of this year. He's also talking about corruption and the fact that it is a cancer that has to be addressed. So he is confident that the public prosecutor that government wants Parliament to consider when they resume, hopefully in the second term of the Parliament next session, will be given a priority so that the prosecutor can start work to deal with issues of corruption. So many things came up. The Ghanaian community here also wanted to know about government, fight against illegal mining, if government can negotiate the Zambian president to ensure that it's a free regime for Ghanaians who are living here or those who do business here. So these are some of the issues that have come up so far. The president took time to address them one after the other. The expectation is that his expectation is that they'll be able to come back home with their expertise to help in the development of the country.
All right, now, Elton, do we know some of the issues that are likely to come up when the president meets his Zambian counterpart?
It appears that the major concern facing the Ghanaian community here is about some insurance for those who've been teaching in the last 20, 30 years, some retirement. They are hoping to repatriate it back home. But the issue of their retirement package from the Zambian government is something that they've negotiated with the Gambian authorities for some time now. Now, the ambassador to Zambia just told the gathering that the negotiation has reached an advanced stage where the Zambian government is now ready to pay this money to the teachers, the Ghanaians who've been teaching here, and they've gone on retirement. Their retirement package has not been paid. They are also worried about, the stringent visa regime that exists in this country, because there are so many Ghanaians here and they go to Ghana and come, but they want the system streamlined in such a way that there'll be some kind of, this particular stream can be streamlined so that there can be the institution of a visa-free regime for those who are coming into Ghana and those who will be exiting.
All right, thank you very much, Elton Brobe. Right, well, that's it for the bulletin. My name is Osrolai. You have a good night.
This is Joy News Prime.